My name is Katherine Gray. I'm an artist, a glassblower, a professor, and recently also a judge or resident evaluator on a reality series about glassblowing called Blown Away. In all honesty, thinking about my career trajectory, I could maybe have foreseen the first three things, although only vaguely, but more on that in a minute. But the last one came out of nowhere, and it has been life-changing for me, and more importantly, and much more satisfyingly, for my field. So how did I end up here? As in where I am in my life, but even here on this TED stage. I've watched my fair share of TED Talks and know that there are one or two that extol you to follow your dreams or never give up, which is truly great advice. But if you grow up never having seen or known anyone who has followed their dreams, how do you even know that that's an option or even know what your own potential is? Growing up in Toronto, Canada, I liked to draw and doodle, and I was proclaimed the artist in the family. I gravitated to art classes in high school and had dreams of attending the local art college, but I didn't have the vaguest notion of what that would be like, of what being an artist even meant. I saw an older sister of one of my friends on our block go to art school. She had a mohawk, a pierced nose, and carried one of those big black portfolio cases, the trifecta of all things cool at the time, and I was sold. Once in art school, I recognized that I wasn't much of a painter or drawer, but that I really enjoyed making things with my hands. My thought was that I would become a designer of furniture and lighting, and I ended up taking a glass course because I thought it would be useful to know about working with that material if I wanted to design lighting fixtures. I was instantly hooked. Looking back, I know now that none of us in that class barely knew what we were doing, but there was such a camaraderie, enthusiasm, and dedication among the students working with this material that I felt that I had found my people. If you have never seen glass blowing, it requires using a 5-foot-long hollow metal blowpipe to gather molten glass out of a furnace that's maintaining a temperature of about 2100 degrees Fahrenheit. Once you've gathered all your glass, then you begin a dance of keeping it turning to keep it on center, inflating it and shaping it, and because it gets stiff as it cools, you are also all the while reheating as necessary in a glory hole. And I will confess that I was so young and naive when I was first learning to blow glass that I had no idea that the term glory hole had any other connotations. I'm going to fast forward through about a decade that includes finishing undergrad, going on to graduate school, enjoying several residencies in hot shops, and landing in Seattle, America's equivalent of the island of Murano in Venice, Italy, essentially an epicenter of the glass scene. There I worked with and for lots of amazing glass artists. I learned as much again as I did in school because everyone was very generous with sharing their technical expertise. I was making what seemed like real money to me and was able to carve out a gratifying life juggling working for others and working for myself, making both functional tableware and centerpiece kinds of objects for sale in stores, alongside developing sculptural work for exhibitions in galleries. I was in my early 30s and living the dream, the one my younger self had been unable to articulate or envision. That big black portfolio case had been replaced with a battered suitcase full of glassblowing tools. On some level, I could see a life like this going on indefinitely. Then a friend invited me to the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign to be a visiting artist, and while there, I was asked if I'd want to teach for a year. Although I had done some teaching right after grad school, I didn't think I was a very good teacher. Eventually, I did go on to teach a lot of workshops, summer intensives at various adult craft camps around the country, and I loved that. Reluctantly, I decided to commit for the year, and it turns out I really do love teaching. I guess by then, I felt like I had some wisdom to impart, either in glassblowing skills or life experiences. And bonus, while there, I met the love of my life, and he moved with me back to Seattle. Then came 9/11, and things drastically changed. Before I had left for that year in Illinois, I could go for months and not have a day off from various jobs and work days. After 9/11, I went for months with no work. Sales of artwork didn't slow to a trickle, they just stopped outright. There are many people who know me well who don't know that during this time I applied to work at a Starbucks, but stopped short of taking the position because I was terrified a glass artist I might know would come in as a customer and blow my cover. I applied to a temp agency for secretarial work, but didn't know what to say when asked about my typing speed. Words per minute? Is that with or without typos? It was definitely a low point in my life, made more markedly so because it had come right on the heels of what had been a successful year teaching. Finally, I reached out to a glass instructor I had met a couple of years earlier. I remembered him mentioning the possibility of a part-time teaching job at Cal State San Bernardino. Thankfully, that job offer was still on the table. My boyfriend was eager to move to California, and I was eager for a change in weather, in culture, in career prospects, all of it. Even though my friends in Seattle suspected that I was giving up on my career by taking a teaching job, I'd like to think that I had an inkling that it would be a good next step for me. I came to learn that California, and Southern California in particular, with its multiple prominent art schools and university art departments, has a long and storied history of established artists also being teachers, and I feel honored to be part of that tradition. So that was the fall of 2002, and I've been teaching at Cal State San Bernardino ever since, eventually becoming a full professor. I get great joy from sharing my knowledge, being a conduit between everything that was shown to me or that I have learned, and in turn showing it to others. I love my students. Like me, most of them are the first in their families to go on to higher education, and like me, going into the arts was a tough sell to their parents, so I'd like to think I know what they are up against. In 2017, I received the Lubensky Brichtova Award. This award, so named in honor of two incredible post-war Czech glass artists, is voted on by my peers and presented by the Pilchuck Glass School, a school founded by the renowned glass artist Dale Chihuly. The award was in recognition for my artwork and for my contributions to the field as an educator. Although absolutely wonderful and heartwarming, it had a lifetime achievement kind of feel to it, and it made me feel old. Although I was extremely proud of my career and accomplishments, it felt like the honor was coming too soon. It felt like, here are the laurels, please, have a seat and rest a while. I still aspired to do so much more. I thought or assumed I could do that with my artwork, but at the same time, I was open to other options. Then one day, in the fall of 2018, I got an email with the subject line, "Interest and availability, appear on new Netflix series about glassblowers." The sender had been in touch with my best friend Nancy Callum, an incredible glass artist who has also done a TEDx talk, and she had referred him to me. And I'm not sure if it's because I live in Los Angeles, but over the years I have fielded several calls from producers and TV types who are interested in doing a show about glass blowing, so I thought, what's one more? While chatting with the story producer, he asked if I'd be interested in being a guest judge on this show. I had reservations, but he assured me that the production company was only interested in having the drama be all in the glass blowing, not in the interpersonal conflicts that are more typical of reality shows. He asked me about how comfortable I felt critiquing artwork, and I said that I do it all the time in my day job, so very comfortable. Am I comfortable on camera? I replied that I'm usually comfortable on camera when I'm doing something that I'm comfortable doing, like blowing glass or talking to people. Thankfully, people haven't often wanted to film me giving a critique, so I had no idea how that part would go. At any rate, off I went for filming. And I can say with confidence that I doubt any of us, and I'm lumping myself here in with the glass blowers, even though I couldn't speak with any of them during the filming other than on camera. But I doubt any of us thought that this show would turn into anything. Not that we weren't confident in what we were doing, or trusting of the show's producers, or unaware of how captivating glassblowing is to watch. It was more like, reality show options are vast, and this is such a niche vocation. What are the chances? Chances are pretty good, it turns out. The show was a hit. I've watched its impact on the glassblowing world, and it has been a balm to me, especially during this pandemic. Glass artists, glass programs, and public access glass facilities have all taken a hit. Come on, it's a field where we regularly share blowpipes, never mind work in close proximity to each other. Slowly, things are returning to normal, but in the meantime, because of the exposure of the field to the world, I have witnessed artists who've scraped and struggled to get by actually flourish. Private studios that offer classes were inundated with requests from the public, people wanting to try glassblowing. I've personally had and have heard countless stories from colleagues of students coming into art and glass programs because they saw the show. There are new iconic figures within our profession that are known beyond our circle. Before the show, I generally thought that I was already doing my life's work, that I was influencing a lot of people, even a little bit, or that I was influencing a few people, but a lot. But here was this unforeseen opportunity, and even though I may have been a bit skeptical, I wanted to remain open to the possibilities. So I took the chance. It has turned out to influence more people than I ever thought was within my reach. So in short, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I found something I really liked to do, so I tried to get really good at doing it. Lots of people showed me how to do it even better, and eventually I started showing other people how to do what I do because I didn't want that knowledge to stop with me, and I'm still doing that. Now, I also judge other people doing what I do, while possibly an audience of 200 million people watch. This has made it much more possible for others to succeed at doing what I do as well. So the lesson here is, do what you love to do, but if you want others to also be able to thrive doing what you do it in front of lots of people. Thank you.